Welcome to my studio. I'm Kebu. I'm an electronic musician and composer. As you can see, I have quite a lot of synths. The reason is that I have collected synths for 25 years. And today, Roland is the most represented manufacturer in my studio synth collection. And the reason is that, of course, Roland has been around for such a long time, and they have a huge collection of different synth models that they have made since the 70s. And they all, many of them, I mean, some of them have a similar character, but many of them are really like their own, have their own individual character. So that's why I have so many different of them. So now I'm going to introduce you to my Roland synths. So here are my oldest Roland keyboards. I have a Roland VP-330, which is a paraphonic vocoder and string machine from the 70s. Mine is a Mark 1. It has a lovely string sound. I really like it for string sound. I actually don't use the vocoder at all because I don't have any use for it in my music. But the strings are, I mean, really lovely. It's probably one of the most natural sounding string machines from the 70s, I think. But it's paraphonic, so it's a bit difficult to play because it cuts kind of, it's only one envelope that controls the sound. So when you play legato, it doesn't affect, then it's like full on all the time. But if you play, when you lift all your fingers, then the envelope will cut in. But the string sound is lovely. It also has a really unique choir sound. And you can double it, you can take one octave lower. And of course both at the same time. And with and without the ensemble effect. Now on all these old synths, they don't have any other built-in effects than, for instance, the ensemble effect. So I have added some equalization and some delay and reverb, but it's not much. It's just to make it sound as it would sound in a mix normally. Then I also have an RS-09. Which is kind of the baby brother to the VP-330. It came out at the same time, but it has quite a different sound. Sorry, let's take the string sound. It's not as full as the VP-330. But instead, it makes up for, I mean, in terms of features, you can add a second string section an octave lower. And it has a variation on the ensemble mode. And it has also an organ. And an interesting feature is that you can route an external input signal into the ensemble effect. So that makes it quite useful as an effect machine. Then I have two preset synths. One is the SH-2000, and then I have an SH-1000 over there. The SH-2000 is probably my favorite of the preset synths because it has a really responsive aftertouch. Oh, that was supposed to be a tuba. Wait a minute. So right now I'm adding a bit of cutoff, a bit of opening the filter, and I add some vibrato by pushing down the key. And I mean, I wish they would make, they don't make aftertouch like this anymore these days. But on the other hand, it's just monophonic. It just has a few presets, and yeah, if you don't like the presets, that's it. I really should clean the keyboard on this one because it double triggers. But it has a really sweet sound. So this is the Juno-60. It's probably my favorite Roland synth throughout the times. It's so simple to use. Basically anything that you adjust on the synth, whatever you try, it just sounds good. Because it's in terms quite limited, because it only has like one oscillator and a sub-oscillator, one envelope only, one LFO, one filter. It has a high-pass filter as well that you can add. But it's super simple to use. But it has a really powerful sound. I use it quite a lot for rhythmical things, stab type of sounds, and arpeggiated patterns, and pluck type of harpish sounds and stuff like that. It has also pulse width modulation, and oh, sorry, that's the wrong sound, but and a special thing is, except for the LFO, you can actually route the envelope to modulate the pulse width, which is unique for the 60. The Juno 106 doesn't have that, but the Juno 60 has it. It sounds like this. It gives kind of in comparison to have it with the LFO pulse width modulated. It gives kind of a rhythmical effect, I would say. I mean, it makes it sound really sharp in a way. So that's something I use quite a lot with the Juno-60, because it just sounds good. And a lot of arpeggiated stuff. I think this is probably another arpeggio. Here you can hear the attack of this. The attack is really like, when you have attack on 0, it really is 0. It's a really snappy and nice attack. Now, something that I like to do with the Juno-60 is to clock the arpeggiator with an external drum machine, or yeah, mostly a drum machine, or just a pulse. You just need an analog pulse. So I've now set it up with the TR-8S. The TR-8S sends out a trigger pulse from the trigger output, and so it should be in sync. So you can clock it with an external machine, but the interesting thing is when you start to add and subtract notes from that, because now I have like a 16-note pattern going on. So it just puts out 16th pulses basically. But I mean, you can add and subtract. You don't have to have them all the time, and that makes for much more interesting rhythmical effects. So that's really fun to play with, especially when you want to come up with a new pattern or something. And then you can get quite a lot of complex polyrhythmic things going on by that, using an external trigger signal for the clock. This is the JX-8P, which is probably the pad machine if you want to have an 80s type of pad sound. I deliberately not put any external effects on this one because I just wanted to show how beautiful the release of the sound is. When it dies out, it's like a really natural, I think I put it a bit too long now, but anyway, it's a real natural type of release. And this is without any reverb or delay. If I turn off the release totally, it's like... So you can hear there is no external effects on it right now, it's just its own natural release, which is really beautiful. So that's the JX-8P, and that brings me to the JUPITER-X, because the JUPITER-X has models of JUPITER-8, Juno-60, SH-2001, the XV-508, and also the JX-8P. So it's really nice in that sense because you can get the JX-8P type of sounds on this one. Now these have naturally some built-in reverb and delay on, but let's listen. Let's compare really like straight dry tones. So this is the sound on the JX-8P and on the JUPITER-X. I think I have a bit different volume settings right now. Let me turn down the volume on this one. Now it's more like it. So I mean, it has a really convincing JX-8P model built in. And I programmed, these are my own patches, so you won't find these online, but I just wanted to show you that you can get really like identical sounds with the JUPITER-X of the JX-8P. Another thing with the JUPITER-X which is new is the I arpeggio, and that is an arpeggio that kind of responds to how you play, not in terms of notes only, but also in terms of how intensively you play. So you, for instance, the arpeggio also drives drums. So if you play slowly, it will basically play kind of a softer drum beat, but if you play faster, and then it slows down when it notices that you play soft again. So you can get like So that's all with the arpeggio. Is no sequencers. Everything is kind of arpeggiated or generated in real time. Next up, I prepared a small demo tune for you. I'm going to use. I'm going to clock the arpeggiators both of the Jupiter-6 and of the Juno-60. I'm going to use Jupiter-XM as help for putting some rhythm and play a few chords with that. And I'm using the I arpeggio from the Jupiter-XM is synced with the TR-8S, and the TR-8S sends out the clock signals to the Juno-60 to get everything in time. So here goes.